Good morning, folks. Coming off yesterday's announcement, we've got the sun, weather, a Loki-type coronal hole, and some news. We began, as always, over at spaceweathernews.com. We're finding the last 24 hours on our star were relatively calm with no big flashes or ejections, and that is mirrored in the sunspot situation, sped up 3 times here so you can see the exploding sunspot situation, utterly cut down by the Earth-facing quiet. Not sure what he was thinking, the Leroy Jenkins of the umbral magnetic fields. Anyway, the solar wind is calm here at Earth as well. Repeating phi shifts are not producing storms. Meanwhile, a backwards C-shaped filament is creeping onto the Earth-facing disk and looks slightly unstable, not to mention that shape is unstable configuration in the first place. A little harder to see it in 304 angstroms, but it does become an eruption threat by tomorrow night. And normally by that time I'd expect us to be in a coronal hole stream. The darkness there caused us some earthquake concern as well for our Twitter followers, but it has tricked me, the experts, and just about everyone else, as it was merely a coronal evacuation. And the actual equatorial coronal hole, that's over on the left, just dancing into the disk now. Quick solar cycle update. While we continue marching towards grand solar minimum, we are first eyeing the sunspot cycle minimum, and we are getting down there now after failing to sniff last cycle's marks a decade and a half ago. And in addition to being cut about in half this cycle and missing many of the predictions seen in the red line, looking back even further reveals that the last 45 to 50 years have been about twice as powerful of solar activity as this last sunspot cycle. 2 stories on RSOE today. First is Hekla joining Katla and a few others on alert in Iceland. Those volcanoes are not to be ignored. Analysis of the Friday and Saturday storm line that cut through the eastern U.S. and Canada indeed shows it broke a number of rain records, one of the reasons Penn Station was half shut down. ESO has an incredible video cast out of the VLT lasers. The concept is fairly alien to many of you, I'm sure, maybe not to others, but apparently they are making fake guide stars at the top of the atmosphere by glow mode exciting sodium up there. This allows for better visibility, calibration, and telescope guidance. Folks, there is a one-day event taking place in Washington, D.C. next month. I am absolutely popping back over to the East Coast for this one, so anyone who wants to come hang out at a space weather party thrown by the government, be sure to register. The link is below, and please, I don't feel like being with the zombies all by myself, so come join me. If you missed it yesterday, we have announced Observing the Frontier 2018. Your support and comments pushed Kat to say yes to another one, and your overwhelming responses about location nixed our idea about an East Coast event. And in 1 week, on May 15th, registration opens. Be sure to stay tuned and check out observatoryproject.com for details. Top weather worries today begin in Oceania. Powerful cyclones, blood echoes firing every few hours. The Vanuatu, Tonga, New Zealand Y-shape is under major energetic duress. And we can say the same thing about Taiwan and Japan. Blood echoes were more prevalent the last 2 days, but alas, here comes the low-pressure storm in the last 36 hours of these blot watches. So what's a blot echo? What energetic duress outside of the storm? QuakeWatch.net. It really is easier than you could possibly imagine to begin to watch seismic disruptions building across the world in real time. And for website members at suspiciousobservers.org, don't miss your Fly on the Wall podcast from this past weekend. Another great discussion. We've got the rest of the world's weather and shots of our star to close. It's 5:15 a.m. in the new Valley of the Sun. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.